football.
You have your pledge and your.
We're going to call the Planning Commission meeting to order. Mr. Neri, do we have any announcements?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, we have two. At 11 a.m. on Monday, the 27th of February, U.S. Pizza will be open for business. Also, on March 3rd, Friday at noon, will be the grand opening of the Center on the Lake, which is our new senior services center. All of you are invited, of course. And that concludes my announcements, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Neri. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the January minutes. All commissioners have a copy. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes?
Motion approved, subject to any other comments.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. I have no public comment cards for non-agenda items. At this time, we'll open the public hearing portion. There is no old business, new business. And as we do on an annual basis, we elect officers for the Planning Commission. So at this time, what we'll start with is nominations for chairman. Do I hear any nominations?
Nominate you. Second.
I nominate John Todd.
Okay. What'd you nominate John Todd for?
Chairman.
Oh, darn.
Is there a second on that?
Did somebody nominate Mike? No? Okay, so John wants, that's fine.
Who do we have nominated?
You.
Todd nominated you, and then you nominated him.
There was a second for you, Mr. Chairman, and not for Vice Chairman Todd as of yet.
Correct. You do such a wonderful job.
I really didn't want to do it.
You retired, what else you have to do?
Not retired. What are you talking about? All right. Not hearing a second, no other nominations. We'll close the nominations. All those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed? I could say yes, but it won't do any good with it. All right, we'll open up now nominations for vice chairman. Do I hear any nominations?
I would like to nominate John Todd.
Second.
I think this is going to be a railroad
I
job.
think it is,
again. Okay.
What happens when you do a good job?
Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, we'll close the nominations. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, last item is secretary. I don't even remember who's secretary.
Roy. I nominate Roy.
Roy's
Second.
secretary.
I think we should share that. I nominate David. You know, share the wealth and let
There's
him.
not been a second on either.
I tried that, but it didn't work.
I'll second for Roy.
I heard the second for Roy already. Are there any other nominations? All right. We'll close the nominations. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so we have no changes for the coming year. All right, next item is we will adjourn the suspend the Planning Commission and convene the Board of Zoning Adjustment. Mr. Neri.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first item on the agenda comes out of our section for zoning. It's a request for variance regarding Section 94-166, yard and area requirements. You have this in your packet. You actually have a picture of the home on Shunbury in question. The brick veneer on the garage is exactly 12 inches over the front building line, which is caught by a second survey. Code enforcement and permitting personnel actually went out in the field and measured themselves, and it is exactly 12 inches over the front building line. In the audience this evening, representing applicant from Crafton and Tull is Mr. Brad Peterson, if you have any questions.
Thank you. Any questions of staff from any of the commissioners?
The banks still require a post-survey, correct, prior to close?
Yeah, no.
Just curious.
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. It just depends on it. But apparently that wasn't, I guess, not done at the beginning. Don't know. So, you know, I drove out there and looked, and it looked like there were several houses out in that neighborhood that are coming close.
Possibly.
I would take it if code enforcement was measuring that one, they might have measured a few more.
Yeah,
Just a
maybe,
gut.
maybe. So, but just I didn't get out and measure myself, but they did look awfully close to that setback line. Do the commissioners have any questions of the applicant? If there are no questions, I'd entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we grant the variance for request, section 94-166, for 133 Chamberry, is that correct?
Correct.
Second?
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that motion? All those in favor, yes?
Yes.
Opposed? That motion carries. You're welcome to stay, but
Be right.
you can get out of here early. All right. We'll close the Board of Zoning Adjustment and reconvene the Planning Commission. Mr. Neri, first item.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Both items 2 and 3 are related. As you know, in matters of rezoning, we hear the request for amendment to the master land use plan first. Both of these pertain to just over 6 acres in the natural trail area adjacent to the Natural Trail Estate subdivision that you all actually sent to the City Council with a due pass recommendation last month, which in turn was actually read by resolution and passed by the City Council. This involves 3 tracts currently zoned PRD, just over 6 acres. The applicant is requesting a rezoning to C4 Highway Commercial. You can see the staff analysis in your packet. We had somewhat 11 or 12 responses by the general public by telephone. 4 really no comment, 1 against, and 7 in favor. Furthermore, somewhat over a week ago, there was a meeting held here in the council room. Myself, Mr. Holloway, several residents from the Natural Trail area met here. There was no objection at all to this rezoning. Staff is going to recommend, in the matter of the land use amendment, a due pass recommendation to the Maumelle City Council.
Thank you, Mr. Neri.
Mr. Neri, did the one no say, give a reason?
No. Just no. I believe also that Alderman Mosley, who's here this evening, also attended that public meeting that was held here in the council room.
Any other commissioners have questions of staff?
Was there a, was there someone that requested the public meeting? Just because it's not required by code.
No, it's not required at all. It was actually organized by Mr. Holloway to talk about more items in the natural trail area, such as proposed amendments to the master street plan, other than the rezoning.
Okay. Appreciate the proactiveness of the applicant.
You bet.
Mr. Neri, help me here, because I went out there and looked at the property and trying to get a feel for exactly where it is, because right to the right of it is the new road going in.
Well,
How does this property, and where does this property lay out?
well, you actually have it on your plat. It abuts.
That still didn't make a lot of
It abuts Counts Massey. It is directly north of Counts Massey Road. I believe tracks 1 and 2. Track 3 is somewhat higher up to the north. And it's directly west of Natural Trail Estates, the subdivision that you all passed on to the City Council some time ago.
Okay. You know, I guess when I saw Count Massey coming around here, I didn't know where and how that tied in, but, you know, it's no big deal. I was just curious on that. Any other questions of staff? Any questions of the applicant? no questions of staff or applicant, I would entertain a motion.
This, my chatter over here, Mr. Chairman, is that there needs to be a correction on the exhibit. It's not, he's still showing that to be City of Maumelle property, and I think has there been a transaction on that?
There has not.
Okay, so as it sits, it is still City of Maumelle property. Thank you. No further questions.
No further questions.
Resolution's been passed, it's just a matter of getting all the closing documents put together.
Okay. Any other questions by commissioners of staff and/or applicant? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we pass along to the city council with a due pass, change in the land use plan from SUR to COM.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion on that item? All in favor, yes?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Neri, next item.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Staff will recommend for a due pass recommendation of the Maumelle City Council.
Are there any questions of staff by the commissioners? Any questions of the applicant? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion.
I make a motion for a due pass recommendation, changing the Maumelle master zoning map from PRD to C4, pending all comments from staff and commissioners.
Second that?
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, yes?
Yes.
Opposed? That motion carries. Mr. Neri, next item.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Items 4 and 5 are also related, the same scenario. A proposed change to the Maumelle Master Land Use Map, a proposed change to the Maumelle Master Zoning Map. In this case, it involves the villa at River Point, development by Mr. Blake Jackson, who is in the audience tonight, also represented by Mr. Holloway. In this case, it's in regard to less than a half-acre piece of property on the far eastern side of the development. Mr. Jackson, as you all may remember from the subcommittee meeting, wishes to construct a new pool area with a new hot tub. He also wishes to construct a croquet court, and he also wishes to construct on this property an outdoor dining and recreation area where you can also grill out. We've had absolutely zero responses of any kind to the public notice sign in this case. Staff, in this case, for the land use plan amendment, is going to recommend for a due pass to the Maumelle City Council.
Thank you, Mr. Neri. Do commissioners have any questions of staff? Commissioners have any questions of the applicant? Hearing no questions, I would entertain a motion for approval.
Move to issue a due pass recommendation for the request for the amendment to the Maumelle Master Land Use Plan from SFD to SUR.
Second that?
A motion and a second. Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor, yes?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, Mr. Neri.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and this is the heart of the matter for Mr. Jackson, a proposed rezoning on this half piece of property from R1 to PRD, which the rest of his development of the villa at River Point is zoned, which would actually allow this. The scenario would be this: passed on to the City Council. If, in fact, they do indeed pass this, Mr. Jackson will then submit a preliminary plat in the nomenclature of PRD. He couldn't do that until the actual zoning passed. That will then come before you all for your review. If approved, then the final plat will come to my desk for review. And that's the scenario. Staff will recommend for a due pass recommendation of the Maumelle City Council.
Thank you, Mr. Neri. Commissioners have any questions of staff? Any questions of the applicant? There are no questions. I'd entertain a motion.
Motion for due pass recommendation to the city council for the amendment of the master zoning map from R1 to a PRD for the Villas facility.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the motion? There is no other discussion. All those in favor, yes?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Neri, next item.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a revised site plan from the Kimberly-Clark Corporation. Approximately an addition of 6,500 and some odd feet of new building addition, some added parking, some additional landscaping. I was able to do something in this case that I don't do very often in my career. I got in 3 staff reviews. The reason why is because we got on this project very early, even though the gentleman who was actually doing most of the engineering is in Green Bay, Wisconsin, Mr. Tom Caters, who works for the ISG Corporation, and had good liaison with the project director, Mr. Mark Washburn, representing Kimberly-Clark here this evening. After those staff reviews, there remained one comment, really. You can see a blessing by Fire Marshal Payne. Laid out by the side of your area tonight is also Mr. Ramon's email to me, blessing this all the way into the construction phase. That was the final comment. This stays with the commission. Pending any commissioner comments, staff would recommend for contingent approval.
Thank you, Mr. Neri. Commissioners have any questions of staff? Any questions of the applicant?
Mr. Chairman, I do.
Applicant, step forward. Name and address for the record, please.
Mark Washburn, 19 Chico Drive.
Mr. Wasserman, I'm just kind of crossing the Ts and dotting the Is. You understand that you're basically, we're putting this on a condition that you're going to be in agreement with what the city engineer says of your detention and all the construction stuff?
Sure.
That you're going to be in agreement with what he says?
Of course.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions of the applicant?
We don't have any commercial building design.
It's not in a commercial zone.
Industrial.
I-1, I-3, whichever.
I-1.
I-1. Yeah, thank you.
I-3.
My oversight. Do we have I-3?
I-1, that's it.
Do we like concrete mixed bunch in
Are there any other questions of the applicant? If there are none, I'd entertain a motion.
Make a motion, go ahead.
Motion to approve the revised site plan for Kimberly-Clark applicant, pending any other further commissioner comments
And staff comments.
and staff. Thank you, John.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, yes?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, Mr. Neri.
The last item on new business agenda this evening is the revised site plan, in this case for Kimberly-Clark. Staff will recommend for approval as resubmitted.
Thank you, Mr. Neri.
Site plan or landscape plan?
Landscape.
Commissioners have questions of staff? Any questions of the applicant? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion for approval.
I'll make a motion to approve the revised landscape plan for Kimberly-Clark.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, yes?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. You are taken care of, sir. All right, at this point, we'll close the public hearing portion and go straight into the council liaison reports. Commissioner Green, you had the February 6th.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chairman. A couple of things that was on there was, of course, they had some corrections needed, so they weren't able to do the December financials, and that's supposed to come up at their next meeting, so I don't know if that came up. Most of them was the first reading of some ordinances, 922, which was amending the sign regulation, first reading 923 for the land use plan, the first reading 924, first reading 925, first reading 926, and the first reading 9/27. The two resolutions that were mentioned earlier were approved, and that was a preliminary development plan for Track D, Lot 5, and the revised preliminary development plan for the Natural Trail Estates. And both of those items did pass in that meeting.
Thank you, sir.
So I didn't even rate, huh?
I was there.
You forgot to.
Oh, that's right. He was elected. He was elected for position number 1. I'm so sorry.
And it looks like
Purposeful slide.
everybody wants our position because John Todd was the only one that applied.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep, he did. So he.
It was a very tense evening, too, for the election of Commissioner Todd. Stiff competition.
I guess they figured that he came here when the city first was formed to have a planning commission, and there was no use of anybody trying to
No, wasn't
go
quite
against him.
that.
I think he was down there when they had that old interest down there.
Yeah, it could have been.
Used to crank. When the phones used to crank instead of off.
Pick on John tonight. All right. Roy, you had the 21st meeting.
I did, and it was a very long meeting, close to 3 hours. Yeah. The mayor gave his State of the City.
So it's the mayor's fault?
No, it actually wasn't.
Oh.
I mean, he spoke for 30 minutes, but it wasn't his fault. And he condensed 16 pages into only 30 minutes of speaking, which was good. Covered all the areas. And I think that'll be posted on the website, and I would recommend you go out and read it because he covered all the different
What's going on?
offices throughout the city. So it was good. Covered the year in review. One person had an issue on Christie Lane with drainage and wants the city to pay for that. That was pretty interesting. Then they did approve the December minutes, which, went back and talked about in 2015. Our budget was within 1% of 2016 budget was within 1% of 2015. City was in the black by 200,000. So it's good to know. They're doing a good job. Second reading on all those items. They did made a motion to suspend the rules on the competitive bidding for Magna Grip exhaust removal system for the fire department and voted yes for that. A&P tax was brought up, and they won't give anybody a chance to talk about it, so they tabled that item altogether. Then there was a resolution regarding surplus property. That passed. And adaptive signals, the mayor talked about a few other things. Adaptive signals on the boulevard, they're waiting on some pricing on that, and that should be happening real soon, and then get started for construction, maybe come late spring, early summer. Otherwise, that's about it.
Thank you, sir. All right, month of March, I have March 6th, and David, you've got the 20th.
All right.
All right. Is there anything else to come before the Planning Commission?
Oh, one small point. If anybody has been up and down Country Club Parkway, they've started cutting the blacktop. So they will begin placing that 32-inch main from about the Salone roundabout up to the fairway.
This is the water, correct?
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
That's the
street
central,
improvement, but a water
bring the water in.
They're bringing I think it's coming from Norman Road over there somewhere in North Little Rock, down Count Massey, but they started this section of it. And they will be blocking off one side, and the other side will be two-lane traffic. So it's going to be some fun.
I do have, this is kind of off the beaten path, but it's a question for the mayor. We heard anything of? No. I mean, it just.
Please state your name and address.
And this probably, we can adjourn, and I can ask you the question then.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Great idea.
Second.
Get Mayor off the hook. Out of the public record, right, Mayor? You'd probably appreciate that, right?
I was just curious, with the construction of the road going on out, Count Massey, when's North Little Rock gonna do that 1,300 feet? Or are they?
When the interchange is probably under construction.
Wow.
If they think we need it to get the interchange, they said they would do it, but they want to see the interchange at least, moving forward before they spend money on that roadway.
I got you. So we're gonna have a nice road and narrow two.
There was an improvement district that was formed that was gonna do that 1,300 foot, but that improvement district is kind of languishing right now, because of pricing and dollar amounts that came in. Because the property owners actually came in and said, we'll pay for it, but when they got the numbers,
Can we put a sign that says you're leaving Maumelle and you're leaving?
there's one there. I mean, yeah, so, yeah.
It's too small, though.
We may have to put some bigger signs out there once that's done, yeah.
You're now in.
Well, and here's the crazier thing. I need to improve the half street adjacent to the softball fields. So I need to improve the north side of that. I need North Rock to do the south side. So if we go out there and do half of it, but the problem is it's gonna require a large box culvert to get under the roadway. You can't do half a box culvert because it would stop in the middle of the roadway. So there's a little bit of a logistics problem there. So we may have to put the whole box culvert in to do our half of the roadway.
And I'm sure that Mayor Joe doesn't have any incentive to spend the money.
I'm not gonna go there.
The commission's not formally adjourned, Mr. Chairman.
It is.
I didn't know.
Yes, well, there was a first and second, but a lack of
We
acknowledgement.
didn't ask for,
No vote, no ruling.
That's correct.
Robert's rules over there.
We're getting formal now?
As we should be.
Ask for a
In
vote.
favor, aye? Yes.
yes.
Okay.
Meeting adjourned.
Normally when somebody says adjourn, they cut
Ready
and
to
run for the
leave?
door.